Have you ever wondered what it feels like to sit behind the wheel of a car that's more than just metal and rubber? A car that's pure history, pure soul, pure American legend? Today, we're taking a ride back to the 1950s, a decade where style wasn't optional, it was mandatory, where tail fins soared like rocket ships, chrome gleamed brighter than dreams, and every engine rumble felt like a heartbeat. But listen, this video isn't just a list of beautiful classic cars. It's a tribute, a love letter to the machines that turned heads, won hearts, and never stopped inspiring. If you're here, I know you get it. You know that cars are more than transportation. They're stories on wheels. They carry memories, desires, the scent of gasoline mixed with freedom. And that's why I want you in the comments right now. Tell me, if you could own any American car from the 50s, which one would it be? Which masterpiece would you proudly park in your garage? Let's turn this into more than a video. Let's make it a celebration. Because here, you're not just a viewer, you're part of a community that refuses to let these legends fade away. And hey, if just hearing about these icons is already making your heart race, hit that like button. Show YouTube that classic cars still have a place in today's world. And don't forget to subscribe and ring that bell, because every week we're diving deeper into the stories, the machines, and the people who made automotive history unforgettable. Now buckle up, because the journey's just getting started. 1958 Plymouth Fury. The 1958 Plymouth Fury, just saying its name, feels like unlocking a secret chapter of American automotive history. But let me ask you something. Have you ever looked at a car and felt it wasn't just built, it was sculpted, dreamed, designed to haunt your imagination forever? Because that's exactly what the Fury does. This isn't just a machine, it's a myth on wheels. Born at the height of the space-age automotive craze, the 1958 Fury was Plymouth's bold statement to the world: we're not here to follow trends, we're here to set them. With its swooping tail fins that could slice through the air like a fighter jet and its dazzling buckskin beige paint, this wasn't just a car you drove, it was a car you arrived in. Every inch of it screamed for attention, and boy did it get it. Under that long, sleek hood lived a golden Commando 5.8 engine, a name so cool it sounds straight out of a rock and roll anthem. Packing 305 horsepower from its 350 cubic inch displacement, the Fury wasn't just about looking good at the diner, it was built to dominate the streets. Imagine roaring down Route 66, that V8 rumble in your chest, the wind slicing past those radical tail fins, and everyone on the sidewalk stopping, staring, wondering who's behind the wheel. But here's something wild you might not know. In 1958, the Fury came only in one color. That buckskin beige wasn't just an aesthetic choice, it was a statement. Plymouth was creating an icon instantly recognizable, unapologetically unique. And while only about 5,303 units were produced that year, each one became a rolling piece of art, destined for legend status. Of course, we can't talk about the 58 Fury without mentioning its most infamous claim to fame. You've seen it, Christine, Stephen King's haunted, murderous, seductive star of his novel, and John Carpenter's film adaptation. The Fury wasn't just cast in a horror story, it became the story. Ever since, it's carried this aura of mystery, danger, and irresistible allure. Even today, collectors whisper about the Christine cars like they're cursed treasures. And here's the kicker. Back in 1958, you could buy a Fury for around $3,000. Today, a pristine example can fetch upwards of $100,000 or more at auction, especially if it's linked to the movie. Think about that. A car once meant for the everyday American dreamer is now a coveted piece of cultural gold. 1955 Chrysler 300C. Let me paint you a picture. It's 1955. Elvis Presley is rising. Rock and roll is electrifying jukeboxes across America, and the post-war boom is turning highways into playgrounds of freedom. Into this world roars the Chrysler 300, a car so powerful, so commanding, it wasn't just a model, it was a statement. Underneath that sculpted hood sat the heart of a beast, a 331 cubic inch HEMA 458 engine delivering an astonishing 300 horsepower. Let that sink in. 300 horsepower in 1955. This wasn't just Chrysler showing off. It was Chrysler saying, "We see the future, and it's fast." At the time, no American production car had ever reached that level of raw power, and the numbers? They're the kind that make any car lover's heart skip a beat. Top speed around 130 miles per hour, 0 to 60 in about 8.4 seconds. Blistering speed for the era. This wasn't a car you simply owned. This was a car you commanded. Drivers weren't just getting from point A to point B, they were conquering every inch of asphalt beneath them. But here's where the 300C really earns its legend. It wasn't just fast in a straight line. Chrysler designed it to win on NASCAR tracks, and when it did, the 300C became the car to beat, dominating NASCAR's high-banked ovals with a combination of speed, endurance, and engineering brilliance. This wasn't just a showroom cruiser, it was a trophy collector. Yet despite all this raw power, the 300C wasn't rough around the edges. Step inside, and you'd find a cabin dripping in 1950s luxury, leather seats, full instrumentation, elegant chrome accents. It was a car where you could light up a cigar, turn up the radio, and feel like you were gliding through the world in a private jet, except with a V8 soundtrack shaking the windows. And if you were lucky enough to own one, oh, you were part of an elite club. Chrysler produced only 1,725 units of the 300C in 1955. That's it. Scarcity from day one. Today, those few survivors are rolling pieces of gold, fetching anywhere from $100,000 to $200,000 or more depending on condition and originality. But beyond the speed, beyond the exclusivity, what makes the 1955 Chrysler 300C so unforgettable is its soul. It's the embodiment of 1950s American ambition. Bold, unapologetic, unafraid to push boundaries. It wasn't just a machine, it was a glimpse of what cars could be, before muscle car was even a phrase. 1957 Chevrolet Bel Air. All right, my friends, if we're talking about icons, legends, timeless beauties, there's no way we're skipping this one. The Bel Air isn't just a classic car. It's a cultural monument, a symbol of the golden era of American motoring, the kind of car that even people who aren't car people recognize with a smile and a sigh. I picture it. Late 50s America. Diners glowing with neon, the jukebox spinning Buddy Holly, and rolling down the boulevard comes the Bel Air, shimmering in two-tone paint, chrome so polished you could check your hair in it, tail fins slicing the air like a rocket ship from the future. This wasn't just a car. It was a declaration of optimism. The Bel Air was born at a time when America wasn't just building cars. It was building dreams, highways, suburban homes, and visions of endless possibility. And Chevy's designers? Oh, they didn't hold back. That chrome grille, those iconic gold V badges, the twin spears down the rear fenders. It wasn't subtle. It wasn't meant to be. It was a car designed to be seen. But under all that glitz, pure engineering joy. The 1957 Bel Air could be had with several engine options, but the real jewel? The 283 cubic inch small block V8 with fuel injection. That's right, fuel injection in 1957. That little badge on the fender, Fuelie, meant you were driving something ahead of its time. That engine cranked out 283 horsepower, 1 horsepower per cubic inch, a milestone Chevy proudly advertised. Top speed? About 120 miles per hour, 0 to 60. Around 8 seconds with the fuel-injected V8. This wasn't just a cruiser, it could run with the best of them. In fact, with the right setup, a Bel Air could surprise more than a few high-performance cars at a stoplight. But the Bel Air wasn't just about speed. It was about style meeting substance. Inside, you'd find bold patterns, two-tone vinyl, anodized aluminum trim. It was like sitting in the cockpit of a Cadillac without paying Cadillac prices. Every inch of it felt fun, youthful, and vibrant. And you know what's wild? Chevy sold over 700,000 Bel Airs in 1957 alone. Yet despite those numbers, a well-preserved 57 Bel Air today can easily command $60,000 to $150,000 depending on configuration and condition. And if you've got a genuine factory fuel-injected convertible, oh, buckle up. That's a $250,000 to $300,000 treasure. But what really makes the 57 Bel Air magic isn't just its specs. It's what it represents. It's the feeling of freedom, of top-down summer nights, of jukeboxes and root beer floats, and that belief that the road ahead was endless. It's a car that makes you smile before you even turn the key. So next time you see one, gleaming in tropical turquoise or matador red, those fins catching the sun, just know you're not looking at a car. You're looking at a rolling piece of American joy. And let me ask you, if you could slide behind that wheel, feel that big steering wheel in your hand, hear that V8 rumble to life, where's the first place you'd go? 1959 Chevrolet Impala Sport Coupe. This isn't just a car, it's a statement on wheels, a love letter to excess, a masterpiece of curves and chrome. The Impala wasn't designed to blend in, it was designed to turn heads, to stop traffic, to make people whisper, "What is that? Look at it, those wild sweeping tail fins stretching out like wings ready to lift off. The massive cat-eye tail light sitting at the end of those fins, staring back at the world like jewels. That impossibly low, wide stance that made it look more spaceship than car. In 1959, Chevrolet didn't just make a car, they sculpted a dream. But here's the thing, those bold tail fins, they weren't just for show. They were part of an all-out design war raging in Detroit at the time. Chevy's designers were in a battle with Cadillac, Chrysler, Ford, every brand trying to outdo each other with bigger, flashier, more dramatic designs. And in '59, Chevy took it to the extreme. Underneath all that flair was substance too. The Impala Sport Coupe came standard with a 235 cubic inch inline six, but most buyers went for the turbo-fired 283 V8, or if you were feeling really wild, the 348 cubic inch big block V8. And if you ordered it with 3 two-barrel carburetors, the legendary tri-power setup, you were pushing out 335 horsepower. Not bad for a car that looked like it belonged on a movie set. Top speed, around 125 miles per hour. 0 to 60, roughly 8 to 9 seconds with the big engine. But honestly, the Impala wasn't about being the fastest. It was about being the coolest. About cruising down Main Street with the radio up, windows down, the world watching. Step inside, and you're greeted with one of the most stylish interiors of the era. A dashboard that looked like it was borrowed from a jet cockpit. Bright two-tone upholstery, chrome everywhere. That classic two-spoke steering wheel. And don't forget the optional Continental kit spare tire on the back. It wasn't practical, but oh, did it make a statement. In its debut year, Chevy sold over 473,000 Impalas, making it the top-selling car in America. But despite those numbers, a well-preserved '59 Impala Sport Coupe today is a rare gem. Prices expect to pay anywhere from $70,000 to $150,000, with fully restored matching numbers cars fetching even more at auction, especially if they've got that 348 tri-power under the hood. And here's a fun fact. The '59 Impala's radical styling wasn't universally loved back in the day. Critics called it too extreme, too wild. But you know what? That's exactly why we love it now. It was bold, fearless, a rolling piece of pop art. 1955 Ford Thunderbird. Now this wasn't just a car, it was an answer, a challenge, a revolution wrapped in steel and chrome. See, when Chevrolet unveiled the Corvette in 1953, it lit a fire under Ford's engineers. They didn't want to just compete, They wanted to redefine what an American two-seater could be. And what they delivered wasn't a sports car in the European sense. It was something uniquely American. Ford called it a personal luxury car. And the name? Oh, the name alone. Thunderbird evoked power, mystique, speed, elegance. It wasn't just a car you drove, it was a car you wore, like a tailored suit or designer dress. Let's talk looks, because this car was gorgeous. A sleek, low-slung body, subtle tail fins that hinted at the jet age without shouting, a wide, toothy chrome grille that smiled at the road ahead, and those iconic porthole windows on the removable hardtop, though, fun fact, those didn't appear until the 56 model. In 55, it was a smooth, uninterrupted roofline. Under the hood, Ford didn't mess around. They dropped in a 292 cubic inch Y-block V8, pumping out 193 horsepower. Respectable for the time, but paired with the car's lightweight, it made the T-Bird feel nimble, quick, and effortlessly smooth. Top speed? About 115 miles per hour. 0 to 60? Right around 11 seconds. Not blistering by today's standards, but in 1955, you felt like you were flying. And it wasn't just about speed. Step inside, and you're wrapped in a cabin designed for pure pleasure. Plush bucket seats, a dashboard sprinkled with chrome and aviation-inspired dials, a telescopic steering wheel that adjusted to your perfect driving position. And let's not forget the standard AM radio, because every cruise needed a soundtrack. Ford had planned to sell 10,000 Thunderbirds in that first year, but demand? Oh, demand blew the roof off their projections. They sold 16,155 units in 1955 alone. The message was clear. Americans didn't just want a sports car. They wanted style, sophistication, romance on four wheels. Today, a pristine 55 Thunderbird. Expect to pay $40,000 to $80,000 depending on condition, color, and originality. But owning one isn't just about numbers. It's about history. It's about sliding behind that steering wheel and feeling like you've been transported back to a time when cars had soul, swagger, and a sense of occasion. And here's a little-known gem. While the Corvette struggled in its early years, the Thunderbird soared right out of the gate, outselling the Vette by more than 23 to 1. It wasn't until much later that Chevy's fiberglass icon would catch up. 1959, Cadillac Eldorado Biarritz. Just saying the name feels like an invitation to something grand, doesn't it? This wasn't just a car, it was a declaration, a rolling monument to excess, luxury, and pure, unapologetic American confidence. Picture it, 1959. Post-war America at its peak. Optimism was high. The space race had begun. Jet planes ruled the skies. And on the streets, Cadillac ruled the roads. And nothing announced your arrival louder than pulling up in an Eldorado Biarritz. Let's start with what everyone remembers. Those fins, oh, those fins. Towering, exaggerated, almost surreal, like rocket boosters ready to launch you into orbit. They weren't subtle. They weren't restrained. They were Cadillac screaming to the world, "Look at me." Paired with dual bullet-shaped taillights, the rear end of the 59 Biarritz is arguably the most iconic silhouette in automotive history. And then there's the front, a gleaming chrome grille wide enough to swallow a city block, quad headlights staring ahead with a confidence only Cadillac could pull off, and enough curves and creases to make even an Italian designer jealous. This car wasn't designed. It was sculpted like a piece of rolling architecture. But beauty wasn't just skin deep. Under that impossibly long hood sat a 390 cubic inch V8, churning out 345 horsepower. Mated to a smooth, hydromatic automatic transmission, it offered effortless power. Top speed? Around 130 miles per hour. Not bad for something that weighed nearly 5,000 pounds. And yet, behind the wheel, it felt like you were gliding, a floating sensation thanks to Cadillac's advanced suspension. Step inside, and you're greeted by a cabin that feels more like a luxury lounge than a car interior. Leather everywhere, power everything, power windows, power seats, power convertible top. Heck, it even had a signal-seeking radio that automatically found your favorite station. And air conditioning? Optional. But most buyers wanted nothing but the best. Here's a fun little tidbit. Only 1,320 Eldorado Biarritz convertibles were produced in 1959. That makes it one of the rarest and most coveted Cadillacs ever built. Today, a pristine example can easily fetch $200,000 to $300,000 at auction. And if it's a matching numbers car with original parts, even more. But numbers can't tell the whole story. This car wasn't about practicality. It wasn't about subtlety. It was about making an entrance, turning heads, living larger than life. It was Marilyn Monroe in automotive form. Glamorous, magnetic, unforgettable. And think about it. Back in '59, if you were driving a Biarritz, you weren't just wealthy. You were legendary. You were the type of person who wanted the biggest, boldest, most extravagant car money could buy. So here's a challenge for you. Do you think the '59 Eldorado Biarritz truly deserves the crown as the most extravagant car of the 1950s? Or would you dare replace it with another icon from that golden era? If you could swap it out for a different classic, what car would you put in its place? Drop your pick in the comments and tell us why it deserves a spot on this list of legends. I'm curious to see if anyone's bold enough to dethrone Cadillac's King of Chrome. 1951 Hudson Hornet. Now here's a car that didn't just make history, it rewrote the rulebook. While most people think of the 1950s as an era of flashy chrome and tail fins, the Hornet was out there dominating racetracks, quietly building a legacy that would outlast many of its shinier rivals. At first glance, the Hornet might seem a little understated next to the flamboyant Cadillacs or bold Chevys of its time. But beneath that step-down body design was something truly revolutionary. You see, Hudson engineers literally lowered the floor between the frame rails, giving the car a lower center of gravity without sacrificing interior space. This wasn't just a cool design quirk, it made the Hornet an absolute beast on the track. Under the hood, a roaring 308 cubic inch inline six, dubbed the Twin H Power, when equipped with dual carburetors. It pumped out 170 horsepower, but more importantly, it delivered torque in spades, perfect for outpacing V8 competitors in tight turns. Thanks to its combination of superior handling and rugged durability, the Hornet dominated NASCAR from 1951 to 1954, winning nearly 80% of the races it entered during those years. That's not just impressive, it's legendary. And if you're a fan of Pixar's cars, you probably already have a soft spot for the Hudson Hornet. Yep, Doc Hudson, the wise retired racer voiced by Paul Newman, was inspired by this very car. A whole new generation fell in love with the Hornet because of that film, proof that true legends never fade. What's fascinating is that despite its racing pedigree, the Hornet remained affordable and approachable. It wasn't a car only for the elite, it was a car for the everyday driver who wanted to feel like a champion, cruising the streets with quiet confidence, knowing they were behind the wheel of a machine that had earned its respect the hard way, on the asphalt. Today, a well-restored Hudson Hornet can fetch anywhere from $50,000 to $100,000, depending on condition and originality. But to collectors, it's not just about price. It's about owning a piece of racing history, a reminder of a time when David really could beat Goliath with the right mix of engineering and heart. 1957 DeSoto Adventurer. If there was ever a car that screamed, "I'm here to steal the show," it was the DeSoto Adventurer. I mean, just look at it. With those dramatic tail fins slicing the air like a jet, that bold gold trim glinting in the sun, and the unmistakable presence that turned every head at every stoplight, it wasn't just a car. It was a rolling declaration of confidence and flair. In an era where automotive excess was the name of the game, the Adventurer took things a step further. This wasn't your average DeSoto. This was the brand's flagship performance model, and they wanted everyone to know it. Only 1,950 units were produced in 1957, making it rare even in its own time. A car you didn't just see anywhere. Under the hood? Oh, it delivered on the promise of those looks. Packing a 345 cubic inch HEMA 5i8, it roared with 345 horsepower. A poetic symmetry in numbers that wasn't lost on marketing back then. That engine wasn't just about power. It was about making a statement. The Adventurer could hit 0 to 60 miles per hour in around 8 seconds. Impressive for such a big, bold machine in the late 50s. And when you stepped on that pedal, the 4-barrel carburetors ensured the sound was as thrilling as the speed. What set the Adventurer apart wasn't just the numbers or even the engine, it was the attitude. Each car came in a 2-tone color scheme with gold accents, including special gold anodized wheel covers and trim exclusive to the Adventurer. Inside, it oozed luxury. Power windows, a push-button automatic transmission, and plush upholstery that made you feel like you were piloting a private jet, not just a car. Here's a quirky fact. While DeSoto was often seen as Chrysler's middle child brand, the Adventurer was an attempt to push DeSoto into luxury performance territory, competing with the likes of Buick and Oldsmobile's upper-tier models. Sadly, this bold experiment came just a few years before the DeSoto brand itself would be discontinued in 1961, making the Adventurer not just a car, but a swan song of innovation and ambition. Today, finding a 1957 Adventurer in pristine condition is like discovering a rare treasure. Prices range widely, but expect to pay $80,000 to $150,000 for a well-restored example, depending on originality and condition. And let me tell you, when one of these shows up at a classic car meet, it still gets the same jaw-dropping reaction it did in 1957. 1953 Chevrolet Corvette. Just saying the name feels like invoking the birth of an American legend, doesn't it? I want you to close your eyes for a second and imagine this. It's a warm summer evening in 1953. The world's just getting its first real taste of rock and roll, and you're cruising down the coast in a car that looks like it belongs on the cover of every magazine. That car is the Corvette. But here's the thing. In 1953, the Corvette wasn't a guaranteed icon. It was a gamble. Chevrolet wasn't known for sports cars. They were known for family sedans, trucks, practical vehicles, and yet, inspired by the sleek European sports cars of the time, they decided to build something radically different, something to stir the soul. And stir it did. When the Corvette debuted at Motorama in January 1953, it wasn't just another car. It was an experience. Its fiberglass body, unheard of in mass production back then, its bullet-like curves, and that signature polo white paint with red interior felt like a dream. People flocked to see it. They begged dealers to sell them one. But here's the twist. Only 300 Corvettes were built in 1953. Yep, just 300. Each one hand-assembled in Flint, Michigan, making it one of the rarest Corvettes ever made. Under the hood? Well, let's be honest, it wasn't exactly a powerhouse by today's standards. The Blue Flame inline-six engine delivered 150 horsepower paired with a 2-speed Powerglide automatic transmission. 0 to 60 miles per hour took around 11 seconds, which was respectable for the era, but it wasn't winning races. Still, it wasn't about raw speed. It was about the feeling, the look, the promise that America, too, could build a sports car. And here's something fascinating. The Corvette almost didn't survive past its early years. Sales were slow. Critics were skeptical. But in many ways, that just adds to the magic of the 53 model. It wasn't born into success. It fought for its place in history. And thanks to passionate engineers and designers who refused to let it die, the Corvette grew into the performance icon we know today. Finding an original 1953 Corvette today? Oh, that's the holy grail for collectors. These cars routinely sell for $250,000 to $500,000, depending on originality and condition. And let me tell you, standing next to one feels like being in the presence of royalty, a reminder of where it all began. So here's my challenge for you. If you could own the very first year of any legendary car, which one would it be? Would you go for this '53 Corvette with its pure, untouched DNA? Or does another automotive birth year call your name? Drop your answer in the comments, because I love hearing which icons you'd want to park in your dream garage. 1956 Dodge Custom Royal Lancer. Let me take you back to 1956, a year when America's highways stretched endlessly, families piled into their shiny new cars for road trips, and automakers were locked in a battle of style, power, and prestige. And right in the middle of that showdown, standing bold, flashy, and unashamedly confident, the Dodge Custom Royal Lancer. Now, let's be real. If the 50s had a signature look, it was tail fins and chrome. And oh boy, did the Custom Royal Lancer deliver. With its sweeping side trims, dual-tone paint jobs that made it look like it was speeding even when parked, and those unapologetically flamboyant tail fins cutting the air like a jet, this car wasn't designed to blend in. It was built to make heads turn and keep them turned. But here's the twist most people don't know. Dodge wasn't always the cool kid on the block. In the early 1950s, they were seen as solid but safe, respectable but a little, well, dull. And then came the Custom Royal Lancer, Dodge's declaration that they could play in the big leagues of style and swagger. Under that sculpted hood was a 315 cubic inch Super Red Ram HEMA 5R8, cranking out 230 horsepower. That might not sound like a fire breather today, but in 1956, that was muscle. Paired with a Powerflight automatic transmission, it delivered a smooth yet powerful ride, perfect for cruising Main Street or conquering the open road. But beyond the specs, what really made the Custom Royal Lancer special was its personality. This wasn't just a car, it was a statement. It told the world you weren't afraid of bold colors, dramatic lines, or a little bit of flash. You were here to live large, drive fast, and look good doing it. Here's a fun little nugget. The Custom Royal Lancer was often used as a pace car in local parades and events, not because it was the fastest, but because it was the flashiest. People wanted to see it. Kids wanted to ride in it. It embodied that post-war optimism, that anything's possible attitude that defined the decade. Today, finding a well-preserved 56 Dodge Custom Royal Lancer is like stumbling across a piece of rolling art. Prices can range from $40,000 to $90,000 depending on condition, but honestly, seeing one in person is priceless. Those tail fins, that chrome, that swagger, it's a sensory overload in the best possible way. And there you have it, my friends. The most beautiful, unforgettable, jaw-dropping American cars of the 1950s. Each one of these machines wasn't just a way to get from point A to point B. They were rolling sculptures, statements of style, and dreams wrapped in chrome and steel. But now, it's your turn. I've shared my list, but I want to hear yours. Which car stole your heart today? Which one would you park proudly in your garage or take for a spin down Route 66 with the top down and the radio blasting old-school rock and roll? Or maybe, did I miss your favorite? Is there a beauty from the 50s you think deserved a spot on this list? Drop it in the comments below. Let's turn this comment section into a gathering of classic car lovers, a place where stories, memories, and dream rides come alive. And if you had fun cruising through the elegant side of the 50s, wait until you see the wild, the weird, the wonderfully ugly side. Yes, that's right. We also made a video ranking the ugliest American cars of the 1950s. And trust me, some of those designs will leave you scratching your head in disbelief. Click the video on your screen right now and come along for that crazy ride. If you enjoyed this journey back in time, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe, and ring the bell so you never miss another adventure through automotive history. We're building a community of car enthusiasts here, and there's always room for one more in the passenger seat. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next road trip.